Subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the subscription button below. For future webinars and online short courses, please visit our website at australianwaterschool.com.au. Welcome to this 71st Australian Water School webinar brought to you by IceWarm. We're delighted so many could join us today, and we're going to be talking about India-Australia water business opportunities. Vijay, Hemant and Shilpa, three excellent presenters who know their stuff in this area. My name is Trevor Pillar. I'm the National Partnerships Manager here at IceWarm, and I'll be delighted to chair today. It's going to be a really interesting discussion. What's more important is the spread of attendees here today. Thank you for joining us. It's just terrific to see the large a range of people and a large range of countries represented here. Thank you for joining us early, and please do join in the discussion. We'd love that. In that regard, if you want to talk to us, have a discussion with us, do it early, do it often, click the Q&A button, write your questions and comments, upvote other questions and comments, or if you want to come on screen personally, raise your hand and we will acknowledge that and bring you on screen to talk with the three presenters. That would be fantastic. The plan for today, before we do that, look at the training coming up. Tons of it, lots of it. I won't go into each one, but there's a few really interesting webinars, free webinars and online courses in all aspects of better water management, smart water networks. You can see their groundwater modelling with ModFlow, and the very next one, advances in integrated river management with Dr. Matt Gibbs and Dr. Steve Hemming. I'll leave you to look at our website and see what's coming up. That'll be good. Today's agenda is pretty simple. The format's presentation and Q&A. Will only go for 60 minutes. We'll have a recording made of this, and we'll email that recording to you so you can share it with friends and colleagues. It's freely shareable. It's on YouTube, in fact. And finally, when you log off, there'll be a feedback form which we would really appreciate if you could fill out. It helps us with planning and bringing the best webinar experience possible. Today's presenters are Vijay Kumar, Hemant Padale and Shilpa Nischal. I'll introduce the three of them now, and then I'll hand over to Vijay, who will then hand on to Hemant and Shilpa. But as they're all speaking, don't hesitate to write your questions, and that will help us focus a bit on where you're all coming from. Vijay is a water environment specialist working with the Australian Water Partnership as a South Asia representative, been instrumental in increasing collaborations within the water sector at government-to-government level between Australia and India. Very well networked among industry and government departments. So glad to have you with us, Vijay, today. And Hemant is an international trade and investment marketing professional with 14 years of professional experience working with the Australian government, financial services and infrastructure, smart cities, water and transport sector. Hemant's expertise is in international business development, marketing and communications, business advisory, client relationship management, and working in cross-cultural environments. Shilpa is a senior counsellor at CII Triveni Water Institute. Her work involves application of integrated tools for analysis and research in the water sector, particularly related to risks in a watershed under diverse scenarios. We couldn't be more well served with the best people to talk about the Australian Business Partnership. So we're right in your hands now, Vijay. If you want to take it from here, we look forward to hearing what you have to say, and then Hemant and then Shilpa. But please do get your questions in, get your discussion points in as they're speaking. Thanks, Vijay. Over to you.
Just to give you an highlight, as we were discussing in the beginning, this government has initiated some of the key reforms where currently water is being managed across 6 departments as a subject. This government, when they came on board 2 months ago, they took the first step where they merged the Water Resources Ministry and the Drinking Water Ministry under one umbrella, and they are calling it Ministry of Jal Shakti. As Shilpa has said, Jal is the Hindi for water and Shakti is power. Power means involving people, involving the power of masses to conserve water resources. That's what the Ministry of Jal Shakti is all about, involving people in managing the water resources rather than only government putting the efforts. There is a big focus when the new government came on board before the onset of monsoon. They identified around 256 districts across India which are water scarce, groundwater is really depleting, and they took a mass mission involving thousands of government officials and people across the state at the village and district level to put up and rejuvenate old ponds and lakes so that they can act as water harvesting structures when the monsoon comes and give us the fresh supply of water. Apart from that, on a policy level, this government is keen. There are few interesting water bills are in the pipeline. The key one is a river basin management bill. It is expected to be tabled in this year of the this session of the parliament, where it talks about setting up a river basin authority for 13 river basins. It is proposed to have a two-tier structure where one structure will be governing council consisting of politicians and ministers from different states across one river basin, and then it will be a team of experts working under executive board, which will work on developing a river basin master plan, or we call IWRM plan, for each river basin. The river basin bill will also give power that all the regulatory and the plan issued by the executive board will be binding on all the users and stakeholder of the river basin. That's going to replace the existing river boards that we have in India, which are mostly advisory in nature, and their advisories are not binding in nature. Then we are also working on a dam safety bill, which will give power to government to penalize the dam owners if they don't make an emergency action plan, which is updated regularly. And they also need to do a risk assessment of their dams at regular intervals, including flood zone mapping after certain intervals of time. So that is putting accountability to the dam owners, primarily to reduce the incidents like Kerala floods that we witnessed last year, which was devastating. And there is one very ambitious water bill in pipelines in the last 2 years. Hope that this sees the light of the day in the year to come. There's a National Water Framework Bill. This bill talks about an overarching legal framework which with the principle for protection, conservation, regulation, and management of water as a vital and a stressed resource. It has got multiple provisions on regulating groundwater supply and surface water management. It does talk about a right of water as treating water as a common property resource. It also talks about e-flow in the rivers and water bodies to be maintained. As a short-term measures, this government has taken two initiatives, which is under implementation as of now. One is the Jal Shakti mission, which is, as I mentioned, they are talking about making district-level water conservation plan involving rainwater harvesting, water-shed structures to be revived, reviving of all the water bodies, desilting them so that they can be used for water conservation going forward. And then as a subset of that, they are also running a Jal Jeevan mission, which talks about integrating the demand and supply side management of water, and also providing fresh drinking water or clean drinking water to each and every household by 2024, which is very ambitious. But yes, this is where leading to many opportunities for companies coming from Australia or other countries, because there's going to be a massive project spread across 29 states and so many districts across India. So just to give you a perspective of what happening in the water resource sector in India, as I said, we have multilateral funded agencies supporting various projects related to water resource management. The key one is the national understanding the water resources and managing the water resources for the benefit of different projects, and taking a holistic view of water resource planning. And then we have other projects, that is Jhelum and Tavi flood recovery project that's running in state of Jammu and Kashmir as a result of the floods in 2014. This is a World Bank project where they are setting up flood forecasting centers, flood awareness, and embankment asset management systems are getting installed there. We have an ongoing project called National Cyclone Mitigation Project, which talks about having systems in place to protect the coastal cities, particularly in the eventuality of a cyclone or a disaster. Then we have Niranchal National Watershed Management Project, which is about water conservation at the local level. And we have a massive $1 billion project, that's National Ganga River Basin Project. Ganga is one of the largest river with 25,000 kilometers long. And it is feeding to almost 400 million people who reside along the bank of the Ganga. It is highly polluted in nature. The government is putting up money to put up water recycling, water treatment, sewage treatment plants along the bank, along the cities, so as to reduce the pollution level in the river. And we have another big project which has been announced is Tamil Nadu Irrigated Agriculture Modernization Project, which will focus on agriculture, water use efficiency, and also focus on modernizing the canal water distribution channels so that farmers get water for the irrigation field, and also focus on water use efficiency. These are some of the projects which are yet to be approved in the pipeline. So the purpose of showing this list of projects is to give you an idea what kind of funding and how serious the Indian market is going to have, with so many players coming in. Although it's a competitive market, but opportunities are huge. You can choose 2 or 3 projects based on your area of expertise, and then you can start looking at specific opportunities arising out of those projects. I'll also quickly give you an overview of AWP engagements in India. So we started in India in 2016. Going from that till in 3 years, we have been able to develop and deliver a few projects, working closely with Ministry of Water Resources, now renamed as Ministry of Jal Shakti, and Water Resources is one of the department within that. So we have developed a basin planning user guide as a tool based on our learning from Murray-Darling basin planning, and also taking input from Indian stakeholders, which is going to be used as a tool for IWRM basin level plans in India. We are also working with ISWAM and other partners on delivering some of the training programs as part of the National Hydrology Project. We also got a request from Government of India on sharing various capacity building programs that they can offer over the next 1 year. And AWP floated an EOI in June 2019, and we have received proposals which we are evaluating and will be sharing with Government of India shortly. We are also supporting, as part of the National Hydrology Project, Government of India is setting up a National Water Informatics Center. So AWP has been requested by Government of India to support the development of a strategic operating plan of NWIC, which will have suggestions on resourcing requirement, how the functions of NWIC will look like, what kind of product and information that it should develop going forward. We are also doing a co-funded project, which is with Bureau of Meteorology and CSIRO as partner, to do a real-time 7-day lead time stream flow forecasting project in Godavari Basin up in western part of India. This is a joint project co-funded by Ministry of Jal Shakti and AWP. We are also working on a managed aquifer recharge project in Gujarat and Rajasthan, western part of India. This focuses on participatory groundwater management, where we are actually working with the community and local partners in making them aware of the groundwater situation, and let people interact, and based on that they can change, and going forward look at cropping patterns which will in line with the groundwater resources availability. We recently also funded and supported a program on circular economy, which was delivered by Green Industry SA and Circular Economy Alliance. We have also supported an urban water project in South India, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, where we supported development of a water-sensitive urban design project in the new capital city of Andhra Pradesh. And this will be implemented if all looking forward. We are also working on a dam safety visit from India. Senior officials from India wants to visit Australia to look at dam safety policies and dam automation, reservoir automation operations, and dam releases practices that we have in Australia. So after an overview, I'm sure you must be thinking what you should do to look at and leverage these upcoming opportunities, leverage the AWP work in India. So some of the approaches that based on our suggestion that we would suggest you to look at India market is you need to start profiling your capabilities. So you need to be in India meeting with concerned clients, mostly state water department and federal government. Reason being, they are the client for water. Water is mostly the end user is mostly government. So it's important to work with them, showcase your capabilities. Obviously, you need to collaborate with local firms operating in India or multinational firms operating in India. The reason being that although most of the procurement happens through a formal tendering process, and cost obviously is one of the key consideration. So that you need to, if you collaborate with local firm, that obviously give you an advantage. And especially for smaller firms, the SMEs from Australia, our suggestion has always been that you form partnership with Australian groups, and then you approach Indian partner. That'll, because you know each other in Australia, you know the working style, so that level of camaraderie is there, and it helps you package your services in such a way that it becomes attractive to the market. So some of the key steps, probably some of you may be aware of, but I'll still reiterate this, that before embarking on a journey to India, I'll suggest you need to customize your capability document, highlighting your project credentials across different areas where you want to focus on. Be it, let's say, for example, if you want to focus on urban water, then your capability document should be designed focusing on projects, highlighting projects which you have done in the past on urban water. You also need to collect testimonials and certificates from your clients for whom you have done work in the past. This is important, not now, but when you bid for a project, you need to have those documents ready to prove your credentials. And then obviously you need to visit the market. That's the most important thing, because you need to come and meet face to face and share your capabilities, get to know about the specific opportunities coming up, and collaborate with local partners. So that's all from my side. I'm happy to take questions. Trevor, any questions is there? I'm happy to take.
Actually, that's really good. A terrific start. Thank you, Vijay. It just encompasses the entire program and webinar that we're going to be doing, but it just sets the groundwork for it. And come on screen, Shilpa. There's a couple of questions here that might be useful. Rob Richardson has asked. Rob Richardson is from a company in South Australia called Hydro Dis Water Treatment. He's asked, who are the dam owners, the private, local, state or federal governments? Who owns the dams? Do you want to kick off, Vijay?
So dam owners are mostly government departments and sometimes state government department. There are some dams which are hydropower dams, which are owned by government-run companies. So in some state, it's like the electricity department who owns the hydropower dams. In some, we have two major hydropower companies which are owned by government. That's National Hydroelectric Corporation. Then we have different big hydropower projects. They are also run under a company ownership which is owned by government. So sure. Private dam owners in India, it's mostly government or government companies.
The second question here, just before we begin, Hemant, Manasi, who's an environmental scientist from Bekar in Sydney, has said, is there a specific government website that gives more information about these projects for consultants interested in submitting expressions of interests or proposals?
So there is no specific website that will give you information about all consultancy assignments. But for some project, they have dedicated websites, like the National Hydrology Project have a dedicated website where you can get information about all the upcoming opportunities. Similarly, for dam safety project, there's a dedicated website which can give you information about the all upcoming tenders. But the best way to capture and follow up all consulting opportunities is to subscribe to the development business portal, where you get all the ADB and World Bank funded opportunities coming in one single web page.
So that's an ADB website?
No, that's a UN website that's called UN Development Business, which compiles all the World Bank and ADB and UN funded tenders that is shared on that website. It's a subscription based service where you need to pay some fee.
Yep. Yep. No, thank you for that. Any comments from yourself, Shilpa, Hemant? All good?
All good from my side. Yep.
Yep. Okay. We'll just take one more question then from Sanjay, who is in Sydney for a company, Environmental Services, SSS Environmental Services. How many water catchment re-engineerings were done within the 256 districts, and was that successful?
So that data probably we need to find from the government. It was a massive task, but I would suggest there were many re-engineering were done. Some of that are still going on in some states, but because of monsoon and flooding, some of the work has stopped. They have to be resumed again from October onward.
And just to add on to this point here, the government basically came out with the national water policy in 2012. And the entire focus of the policy was to undertake watershed level planning. So basically, the whole idea of taking watershed as the unit of planning and then to do a complete re-engineering. So, Sanjay, your point is like, how many of these have been successful? So there are a few examples which have been successful, but what is required is how do we scale up some of these efforts, which are, maybe far in, few in number. So what is important is that now, since the government is having a complete focus on taking an integrated approach, how do some of these aspects basically come together in a collective manner, in an integrative manner, so that holistically at the catchment or at the watershed level, one is able to provide certain solutions which can help resolve the problems.
That sounds great. No, that's fantastic. Let's just take another question. They're really interesting. Subhash Chand is principal scientist with ICAR and NIAP in New Delhi. Subhash has asked, since the canal irrigation system is decreasing its use in agriculture, how can we improve the canal surface irrigation water productivity and efficiency? You can leave it till later if you want, but if you have any comments on it now, Hemant, Shilpa, Vijay.
So my suggestion is, there is no one single answer to this question, because in India, if you look at, it's a very diverse kind of topography that we have. So we can't say that we can totally focus on canal irrigation. We can't do the groundwater-based irrigation. It has to be a mix of that. And also we are moving from, so there's a big focus on canal irrigation being done and automation and improving the efficiency and reducing the losses through evaporation from the canal. That is also a focus, but it has to be a mix. It can't be one system which will be applicable across India. It has to be a mix of different solutions, localized and different conditions in different parts of India. That will define whether we should focus only on the canal for improving efficiency, or we should move on to other systems for improving efficiency.
Cool. Any other comments? Shilpa, Hemant?
Yeah, I agree, because canals, certainly they have improved the irrigation and the productivity levels in the areas where they were built. So this was a very important infrastructure move that was undertaken. However, we find that given water is not a priced resource in most parts of India, therefore the dependency on other sources also assumes a lot more importance. So the farmers basically not only rely on groundwater for irrigation. Certainly, wherever the river is there and the canal is moving, there are instances where they are using canal and surface irrigation systems. But the best way to enhance the productivity of these systems is, one is maintenance, and second is in terms of the evaporation losses. Very, very valid point which Vijay just mentioned, because the new school of hydrology is actually talking about reducing the evaporation losses through certain control measures so that you are able to reduce your freshwater consumption. And this is something which is certainly catching up. Plus, in the agriculture sector, since water is a very, very finite resource, what is important is to look at what we call the municipal agriculture interface, or so that the wastewater from some of these some of the industry or from the municipality can actually be treated, and it can be used in the agriculture sector, which will help to reduce the dependency on the freshwater usage, and at the same time also help improve the efficiency and productivity.
Yep, that's fantastic. Hemant, I think we might move straight into your presentation now. And look, thanks everybody for your great questions. There's a whole lot more there. I can see Vinay, Bharadwaj and Suvash. Let's just take them on board in a moment. But right, we'll hand over to you, Hemant, for your presentation. Thanks.
Thanks, Vijay, and thanks, Trevor. Just give me a minute. I'll just put up my slides up. So I'll just provide a bit of an overview for the Australian audience about how Australia is deeply engaged within the water sector in India. India and Australia do share a memorandum of understanding which is dated back to 2009 and still currently in place, which focuses strongly on water resources. Not only that at the federal level, but at the state level, there are some memorandum of understanding which is sitting under the broader MOU. Maharashtra and Rajasthan certainly have an MOU with South Australia on water sector. Recently, there was a India-Australia economic strategy done by the High Commissioner Peter Verghese, and that emphasizes strongly on developing the bilateral trade between India and Australia, and has a very strong component of infrastructure, which includes water engagement. We have a very strong engagement and endorsement of Australian capabilities within the water sector, and that's been run. You would see that how Australian Water Partnership, which is purely funded by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, engaging in India. We have the Australian Trade and Investment Commission, which supports Australian businesses working in this space to deepen their engagement in the Indian projects and engagement with Indian companies. And individual states do have offices to facilitate businesses to do business in Indian market. So there is a very strong structured approach in place. More so the local governments, when I say local government, the state governments in India are also looking at a stronger economic engagement. And when I made my pitch, they are looking at innovative technologies, particularly from nations who have are being progressive in their water journey and in their water conservation domain. With regards to the Australia, particularly in state of Maharashtra and Rajasthan, there has been a significant work done at the government level, and there is a strong endorsement by some of the senior bureaucrats, which we call them as local champions, who help businesses to engage in the projects that they are working with, and also facilitate in terms of collaboration with local industry. I would keep it at a very broader level because the challenges within the states, and Vijay did highlight at a federal level, but these are quite similar. We got a significantly growing population, particularly in the emerging states like Maharashtra and Rajasthan, where there is a stronger challenges on both surface water and groundwater. A lot of projects, both within key initiatives within smart cities or the urban renewable programs, are on wastewater treatment, efficient drinking water. There is a strong demand in terms of water distribution between agriculture, industry, and at the household level. There's also challenge which I think so was touched upon in terms of efficiency and farm productivity because of the distribution of water and the use of water in the agriculture sector, and the environmental impact which is happening within the which is causing the water pollution. Particularly, there are a lot of projects which we are seeing within the lake and river remediation within the city. Some of the smart cities, Maharashtra has around 10, Rajasthan have around 7. All the smart city projects have a very strong emphasis on water conservation, treatment solution. Some of them are putting up physical infrastructure, but some are largely on optimization of network and reducing the non-revenue water. What we see the opportunity for the Australian businesses, those who are operating in design, engineering, consultancy services, there is a strong emphasis on innovation and innovative technologies, including smart metering solution, optimization of network, innovation within decentralized wastewater treatment solutions and treatment plants, and the solutions that could be around water body remediation, which are prevailing within the cities level. I might touch upon quickly on the program overview. ISWAM, along with AWP, the Australian Water Partnership, is intending to take a delegation from Australia to India. Now, the delegation would also be coinciding with the CII Water Innovation Summit, which Shilpa would give you a detail about it. But the program would highlight on a visit to Mumbai and Jaipur. The program, which starts from Mumbai and would end in Jaipur. The first 2 days of the program will be in Mumbai. And the objective of the visit is to strongly engage with all the 3 layers, including the government, industry, and the community, to get a perspective and the challenges and the projects that are there within the state of Maharashtra. What we are trying to work through this delegation visit is to give you a perspective and direct engagement with key government officials, including the Department of Water Resources within the government of Maharashtra. Then engage with the industry, who are the implementers and the solution providers within the states. So doing some roundtables and pitching sessions with the industry, and providing you a perspective on the city council's engagement, because a lot of these projects come down to the city council level for implementation, and how the city council engages with it, what are the processes that are in place, how the tenders are within. Most of the projects are multilaterally funded, and it gives a perspective in terms of how at a council level, at a state government level, and at a federal government level, what tenders are there and how city council handles it in terms of delivering those projects. We are also intending to provide a site visit to give a first-hand experience of how some of the treatment solutions are being managed, and you could see how what kind of technologies are being used. The Wednesday and Thursday would be CII Water Innovation Summit, which Shilpa would give you a detail about. And Friday would be more on the visit to Jaipur. State government of Rajasthan and state government of South Australia do have a sister state agreement. That is which dates back to 2016. There's a structure in place for engagement. There are live projects, both on knowledge sharing and as well as putting up technological innovations and piloting that can be done within the state of Rajasthan. So it would provide you and some of the overview and opportunities of engaging with state government of Rajasthan. The overall benefit, and Vijay highlighted very strongly in his presentation, that visit to market is important. It's a relationship-driven market in India. So when you visit, you get a first-hand information about the regulatory policy environment at all the levels of government. It helps you to identify the market opportunities and engage with industry in terms of collaboration models and the pathways. And also helps you to directly promote your technologies and solution to the end user, including the government. This is more about the participation. The participation link is on the ISWAM website, where you can express your interest. The cost of 5-day program is Australian dollar 2,500, which would include the transfer, airport transfers, the programs, and the further meeting programs, and including the site visits. So that's it from my side. I'll hand it over to Shilpa, who would give you an overview on the CII Innovation Summit. But happy to take questions if they are now, or maybe later.
Yes, would that be possible? Thank you, Hemant. That's a really good rundown. I appreciate that effort. We all appreciate that effort. That's fantastic. But Shilpa, could we just take a couple of questions? We may run over the 1 hour mark here if everybody's happy with that. I can see everybody's still staying on board. In fact, we're getting more people. Let's take a couple of questions, if I may, Shilpa. please stay on screen. I think, Vijay, you've got to go to a meeting. That's understandable. That's fully, hugely appreciated your time here, Vijay. Thanks so much. But I understand that there's a meeting coming up for you. Look, let's go to these questions. William Robinson from Rupp in New South Wales in Australia has asked, what are the estimated losses across the network? Have there been any applications of machine learning remote sensing for pipe inspections?
With regards to the network losses, at the council level, there are as high as 40% and 50%, and I would ask Shilpa and Vijay to pitch in. And these account to a lot of non-revenue water, and that has been one of the challenges within the cities. And most of the cities have within their smart city program or other projects are looking at optimizing of the network. So first, to study all the leakages. Some of the cities are really old and where there is a lot of filtration and water losses that happens. And then to top it up with technologies, including some of the smart metering solutions. Now, most of the old cities, the meterings were analog and not digitalized. And that has been a challenge in terms of providing the metering solutions in that context. But in terms of machine learning and remote sensing, I think so. I'll ask Vijay. He's an expert on that. If he can has some comments to share about it.
Are you still there, Vijay? I understand you had. That's probably actually mentioned in the chat line that he had a meeting to go to. No. All right. Well, Shilpa, any comments from yourself on that question?
I think the artificial intelligence, machine learning, I mean, these are concepts which are gaining relevance, and they will actually gain much more momentum going forward, given that water is actually becoming a very, very important resource. So certainly the various cities are picking on these kind of the measures which are available. At the same time, there's a lot more that needs to be done. So in bits and pieces, certainly some of these instrumentation is happening with all the sensors and all taking, and the cloud computing coming into the picture. But I think there's a lot, the market is here to be explored in terms of taking this segment forward.
Thanks so much. There are a lot more questions around wastewater reuse and education, the proposal stages. I think we might just leave them for a minute. If everybody's still happy with this, Shilpa, I think we should go straight to your presentation. But thanks you so much, everybody, for joining in this discussion. It's highly interesting. I can see there's a lot more questions here. We might have to keep short answers by the look of it, but at least we'll get to them eventually, and we will go beyond the 60-minute mark. So, Shilpa, it's over to you now. We'll be ready and keen to hear what you have to say.
So thank you, and once again, a warm welcome to all the participants who've joined in. Certainly, water is, as they say, it's a burning issue now, and everybody is talking about water, whether we are in Asia or whether we are somewhere. It's too much of water, and at other places we are suffering from scarcity. So the Water Innovation Summit, this is a flagship event of CII, and CII is a body which is a membership-driven body based in India with head offices all over the world, which basically brings together industry, government, NGOs, researchers. So it's a kind of a platform to deliberate issues and have dynamic relationships going forward. The summit, the intent is how do we influence the stakeholders' mindset, and most importantly, behavioral. Because water, all said and done, in the end, it boils down to how do we ensure that we are bringing into picture a behavioral change to help adopt sustainable water management practices. And I'll just take you through a retrospect of what the summit in its earlier editions has delivered. For some of you who might be interested, you're most welcome to join the deliberation. It's a 2-day event which brings together a lot of thought leaders, government leaders, practitioners, looking at integrated water management. Last year, we had over 300 plus participants, and this year, we are looking forward to scale this up considerably. Most of the key water businesses are present at the summit. So if there are people who want to basically have innovative projects, and they are looking for industry to basically partner with, and to build the first bridge and to move there. I mean, this is the kind of the platform that can help you provide that impetus. Government of India, Department of Water Resources, it has come on board as a partner, along with Australia Water Partnership and iSwarm. So Australia has been a partner for the earlier 2 editions, and I'm happy to share with everybody that we've had a very, very good and fruitful relationship with Australians, and a complete delegation comes to the summit each year. There is a useful exchange of information, of ideas. The presenters have actually talked about how Australia, when it was going through the millennium drought, how some of those policy measures which were taken then are now basically helping in improving the water scenario, and how India can actually learn from some of those aspects which were taken in Australia. So certainly it's a great platform of exchange of information, of learning. And along with Australia, this time we are also trying to bring in other countries, such as represent delegation from Singapore as well as Israel. So it's a mixed kind of a set. Why on the one hand you have the international people, on the other hand you also have very, very strong national players and the water businesses. So the summit is going to see a lot of exchange of ideas, knowledge in this 2-day event. The summit also helps to bring forth, it touches upon 2 important aspects. One, certainly water, and second is wastewater, because both need to be given considerable importance and equal importance in some sense. It's complete cross-learning across sectors on the good water management practices. And day 1 of the summit, we have presentations from the Indian industry who are doing excellent work in water management. And this work is not only inside the plant, which is inside the fence, but also what the industry is doing outside the fence in its watershed. So it's a mix of the whole first day is just has a lot of these very informative presentations from the industry. It's a first-hand experience of the industries as to what they are doing and how they are able to save the water and the precious resource. So the summit offers an excellent opportunity to launch, to showcase new technology products, to interact and explore new growth areas. We have the format basically involves certain sessions. It involves master classes. It involves business to business meetings, and the entire there are parallel sessions. There are sessions so it's a very good networking platform. And the focus of all this is what are the kind of interventions and which one can actually take forward in order to resolve this entire issue of water conservation and management. So we've done 4 editions so far. And this is the 5th edition, where we want to actually raise the bar and take it to the next level. So just some photographs. So this is the last summit. Again, you can see we partnered with Australia Water Partnership last year. You can see our union minister. So it's the complete industry, government, international experts which come together. We also have a small exposition. Some of the stakeholders also talk about and exhibit the good products which can be taken forward. So it provides an opportunity of coming together, meeting people, talking about your products and moving forward. It's also covered extensively by media in different languages. We always have some important dignitaries come and talk about how water is important and what are the key issues and challenges which we are facing. This is the earlier edition, which is 2017. Again, you can see it's we have a mix of people, and the whole idea is how do we learn from each other. Ministers, media coverage, all these things basically talk about. So what is now expected this year? First, like the way we started, water is now a burning issue. It is at the center stage. The Honorable Prime Minister of India has launched a very, very a program which is the Jal Shakti Abhiyan, where he wants to give the power to the common people. So it's a people's movement in order to bring about solutions. The summit is going to bring together stakeholders, experts, leaders, media to deliberate on issues, and it provides a very, very important network in terms of talking to each other, building relationships, so that collectively we're able to improve the water scenario in the country. As I mentioned, the theme of this year's summit is aligned towards the Government of India's program of providing safe drinking water to all rural households, and this is such an ambitious task that everybody can play a role here. So the first day we will see a whole gamut of presentations which are talking about new areas. There will be a technology plenary which is talking about, all the water businesses talk about what are the new things that they are doing. And last year there was a lot of mention about machine learning and artificial intelligence, and how these sensors can actually help in taking sound decisions in terms of water management and conservation. We have 3 master classes scheduled this year, which are looking customizing, one towards the heavy industry sector, one towards the light industry, and also one which will be taken by ISWAM and CII, where we will be looking at aquifer replenishment and how does the quality really matter. So this is an important element which will be brought to light on day 1. We'll have business to business meetings throughout and a small exposition. Day 2 will be packed more with plenaries which are looking at the future of water. So the kind of issues that one is grappling with, and where do the solutions lie. Aspects such as source protection, source remediation. We will be having international plenaries where international experts will be sharing their good water management practices. So we'll have a session which has Australian experts. We'll also have a section which will have the Singapore experts, Israel experts come together. There will also be a session this time which is looking at how are we moving from risks to resilience. And over here we intend to bring together the certain state level officials and the PSUs, the public sector undertaking, basically to talk about what are the kind of challenges they witness and how do we take things forward from there. And finally, the summit ends by recognizing the good efforts of the Indian industry and conferring them with CII National Award for Excellence in Water Management. So this is in a nutshell what we are, and how are we going to take the two-day deliberation forward. We are actually looking for more numbers. We're looking each one of you to come, if not this year, at least next year. So this is an annual event, and you're most welcome to India in terms of coming, partnering with us and taking this mission forward together.
That's fantastic. A really great rundown of how that CII Water Summit will go. We're talking about 2 things today. Well, a whole lot of things, but there's 2 major things happening. A 5-day visit to India, a water business visit, and that also includes the Water Summit with CII Triveni. So let's get to these questions. I know we're at the 60-minute mark, but I reckon I'd like to just have a go. What do you think, Shilpa? What do you think, Hemant?
Sure.
So take on these questions. All right, let's go. Rob Richardson from Hydro Dis in South Australia has asked, most of the challenges revolve around education initially. How are the funds to be allocated between projects and education? Should we take this on now, or should we leave it? This particular question. If you hit your Q&A button at the bottom, that might make it easier for us to.
Yeah, I think education is something which is really integral to any campaign, particularly if it's as important as water. Because unless the element of behavioral change needs to be given prime importance, and behavioral change will only start with education and raising awareness. So when the government is launching the entire program of Jal Shakti Abhiyan, there are lots of these campaigns. The Prime Minister himself is every month, 2 months, is coming and he's talking. There is an episode which he calls Man Ki Baat, which is a Hindi word which means he's speaking his mind. Right. And some of the topics that he's talking in these sessions when he's addressing the people of India is that how it is important to conserve water. So every drop of water needs to be saved. Wastewater needs to be recycled. So all these aspects are now becoming extremely important in all arenas. So education is certainly assuming the centerpiece, and I think it's going to raise furthermore in the tenure that we see of this new government.
Yep, that sounds great. Any comments, Hemant? Otherwise, we'll move down to the next one.
But just a quick comment. I think so. There are institutions already in place within the ministry which focuses on capacity building, both at the council level and also at the federal and the state level. the Central Water Commission or to that extent the Water Resources Department of each of the state strongly put a budget for educating their staffs and bureaucrats and upgrading them with new technologies. And that is where you see a lot of delegation visit. And Vijay did highlight a delegation visit from the water resources side to Australia to study some of these projects. So education is an integral part, and it may not be the question. It certainly emphasizes whether it is part of the project, but at a broader level, there is a very strong emphasis on building capacities and human capacity in terms of intelligence and taking up innovation from overseas developed countries.
Yep. Next question, Bharadwaj from Atkins in Bangalore has asked, is there opportunity for private sector to enter into the Indian market, or does all consultancy projects go to IIT professors, students, startups, etc.? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a bit loaded, that question.
Yeah, so I think so. That's not the case. There is a strong opportunity for private sector to engage in the consultancy projects in Indian market. Yes, there are nomination-based projects which goes to a top research institute and educational institute. But as you would have seen, there are commercial projects that are open for private sector, and these could be projects which are multilateral funded projects, or even at a state government level projects where one private sector can enter based on what the tender is, whether it is a consortium driven or whether you need a single company to bid for it. Yes, but the answer is very clear that yes, consultancy projects are open for private sector.
Yes.
Yep. Vinay Yadav, he is from, did I ask this already? Maybe we did this already. From, no, we didn't. WSP Consultants in Bangalore has asked what are the key challenges to be expected, and what is the approach to them in terms of the Indian scenario? Is that too big a question to manage in this webinar?
I'll take that again. I think so. It's a little bit of an open-end question, but if I've understood it correctly, if the challenges are in terms of engaging in a project that is being tendered out, I think so. One has to look at it from what kind of project it is, and I would reflect back on Vijay's slide in terms of approach to market. You need to do your homework correctly. You need to have your partners correctly chosen for engaging in the business. And particularly for the Australian audiences, we recommend that some of these multilateral projects that come up are quite transparent. And are in terms of the compliance and monitoring are really good. So if you adhere to the tender notices and the points that are given in terms of the compliance part within the tender, you are very certain in terms of putting up a successful submission. India has strongly moved into an e-procurement model, and that is why there is some of these tender evaluations are becoming very much transparent, and you won't see anything in terms of wrongdoing that are happening. I would not say it is completely eliminated, but yes, in multilateral funded project, it is a very transparent process.
Any comments, Shilpa, on that one?
I think I completely agree. You know, it's a transparent process, and they follow a complete SOP in terms of first the request for proposals and then the complete tendering the way it's done. So it's just to look out for the websites, look out for the right partners, and it takes a little while, but certainly, you know, whoever has the capabilities and wish to take forward, I think certainly one can approach and take the things forward.
The next question is from Ken Chana. I'd like to pick this one interesting on the topic we're speaking about now. Ken Chana is from Marsden Jacobs in Victoria, Australia. How are projects typically packaged with reference to the asset delivery process? And to clarify, are there tenders at the feasibility stage, concept stage, detailed design and delivery?
Now, the tenders could have all the 4 components at one go, or it could be individually or individually be tendered out. Now, that depends predominantly on the agency and the project and the nature of the project. Generally, the feasibility study is at a very tendering stage. That could be done if the institution or the agency have an in-house capability, or they may hire an individual consultant or somebody to work on it. But the later part of it, which is the detailed design or the implementation of the project, whether it is the physical infrastructure or the consultancy project, that goes through a proper scheduling of tendering process. Now, just for the information, there are also process of empanelment, and there are certain agencies which have the capacity to sanction the project within their budgetary right, and not call for a mass tender, because if you are doing a small scale project of a feasibility study, it is not advisable to call for a expression of interest, or a call for a request for proposal or something. If it is a small feasibility project, the officer may have in his capacity to pick somebody from the empaneled panel, and it could be a closed tender, sending it to 3 or 4 participants and asking them for a quote. But for a larger size project, it goes through a process which is the EOI, the request for proposal, then the request for quotation, and then the technical and the financial bid evaluation, and then the allocation of the project.
Sounds good. Jyoti is with IIT in New Delhi. Will there be some session on water stewardship in the summit? Maybe that's for you, Shilpa.
Yeah, see, water stewardship, if we are looking at the concept, so the summit is all about water stewardship and how do we actually steer and ensure that we are doing water management. But
I think Jyoti is talking about a particular organization. I think it's a water stewardship organization.
Yeah, Alliance for Water. I think
that's the one. Yeah, you've got it. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, correct.
So at the moment, there's no specific presentation aligned only to one kind of a concept, because there will be several concepts, which will be talked about. The whole idea is to have these concepts, embedded. Each year we keep talking about watershed level planning, and now over the years we are seeing that people have started speaking about it. So the whole idea is to how do we translate some of these things in the mindsets of the people.
And he goes on, thank you. He goes on to say, what is the upcoming future action plan in terms of wastewater use in India, specifically Maharashtra? Is there any state level policy in place like other Indian states?
See, wastewater is now the government of India is looking at wastewater as a resource. So it's groundwater, surface water, and wastewater. There are 3 resources that the government is looking at. And there is a policy already in place, which is for the whole of India, in which, for instance, any of the thermal power plants which have been set up have to use wastewater from the municipality within 50 kilometers. So, the emphasis already has started, and there are certain industries which have actually got shut because there was no water available. So wastewater recycling and reuse of wastewater is certainly gaining importance, and will certainly gain much more importance going forward.
Well, maybe we could leave this question to the last now. That maybe we should close off now. We're really pressing on past the hour mark. Sanjay is in Sydney, CEO of SSS Environmental Services. Will the case study of water being supplied by Sathya Sai Central Trust be highlighted? And also, is there any inter-country level case studies successes available? So 2 questions there.
Well, I'm not so sure whether there is a specific example of Sathya Sai Central Trust will be highlighted. If we have a presenter talking about it, certainly.
Maybe Sanjay, that's an opportunity for you, Sanjay.
And the second point, inter-country level case studies. There are some case studies. We released a compendium of good practices in the last edition. It's called the Cup of Joy, which is a compilation of what the Indian industry is doing inside the plant and outside the plant. Similar case studies, Australians have also been talking about how the Millennium Drought was able to put forward certain strategies to take things forward. So while there is no one compilation, I think it's all there, and one can search and figure out as to what are the good practices and case studies in the sector.
Sounds great. I think we might leave it there. It's been a fantastic hour or more going through the India-Australia water business opportunities, and we so appreciate your time on this, Shilpa and Hemant and Vijay. Any closing comments that you'd like to make around this whole issue?
I think so. The CII Innovation Summit and the delegation would provide a good opportunity for Australian businesses to get a first-hand experience, information, and networking opportunity. And they should utilize it. India is a growing market. There is a lot of emphasis on water. There are a lot of structures and key projects in place. And Australia is in a very strong consideration set for all the level of governments and private sector. So one should look at India very strongly and consider it.
That's very good. So just to back up what you're saying, my colleague is kindly putting up on the chat line. If everybody wants to hit that chat line, you'll see all the connections to the expressions of interest to the 5th Water Innovation Summit and the 5-day Australian Water Partnership visit with the Australian Water Partnership and ISWAM. So yes, thanks, Hemant. And yourself, Shilpa, any closing comments around this whole?
I think water is flowing, and it's flowing across. And everybody is now, trying to understand that how do we do whatever little that we can to ensure that water is available to all. I mean, whether we look at the international, the leaving no one behind was the theme of the UN report this year. So the whole idea is that how do you ensure water is available and is accessible, which is of good quality to all the citizens of the country. And everybody has whatever role it can to play a part in this journey. So we invite everybody to India for these 2 days, and also, afterwards, we look forward to certain opportunities and areas where we can collaborate, work together in making sure that water is available to all.
Fantastic. I will certainly be in India in October. I wish I was coming for earlier than that to this particular summit, but it's fantastic. And the comments about camaraderie among collaborators and inside the business proposals, I think that's such an important thing, that people can work together very well for complex solutions. Well, complex problems, and finding solutions is fantastic. I appreciate everybody's questions, appreciate your time. There's a few webinars coming up in the next just about every week from now on. You can see them there. Advances in integrated river management, groundwater modeling using ModFlow, and smart water networks we mentioned earlier, artificial intelligence and machine learning. That's just 3 of the many coming up in the future. I won't speak about any more. But for now, I appreciate everybody's involvement and your time taken to ask the questions. Thank particularly Vijay, Hemant, and Shilpa. Must be terribly early in Delhi when we start here at 1. It starts there at 8 a.m. or something. But thank you very much for making this happen. We look forward to speaking with you again and wish you great success on the 5th Water Summit as you go forward with it. Bye for now, everybody, and bye to you, Shilpa, Hemant.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
A pleasure. Subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the subscription button. For future webinars and online short courses, please visit our website at australianwaterschool.com.au.